Hey everybody, this is Caller ID. We're calling about your identity, your direction, and what you're doing with your life. I'm Brandon Davis Wells. Let's dig into what we're really doing here. Identity isn't something you discover once. It's something you keep uncovering as life tests you. My guest today, Miquette McMahon, is a Haitian earthquake survivor, author, founder of Teach Haiti, and a follower of Jesus whose life mission grew out of tragedy, resilience, and deep faith. Her journey challenges how we think about calling, success, suffering, and purpose. And it reminds us that sometimes our deepest wounds become our greatest assignments. This is Caller ID. Miquette, thank you for taking the call.
Thank you for having me.
Your story is fascinating. You have a book out right now that I've read an excerpt called The Voice Poverty Cannot Silence. You talk so much about poverty in your book. What was it like growing up in Haiti? How did that shape your identity and who you are today?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. Growing up in Haiti, it was hard. Poverty wasn't just financial. Poverty was systemic. It shows up in every facet of life, limited access to education, healthcare, stability, but also living in Haiti, it shows us how resilient we can be. It was just resilience, faith, the beauty of community. Haiti is a place that really shaped your grit. It shaped your compassion. It shaped that your belief that education can change everything.
Hmm.
And I think growing up in Haiti, those are the things that I've learned really coming from Haiti.
So you ended up in the United States for high school and for college. How did that happen?
It was truly a miracle by the grace of God. I had two sisters who were adopted by a family in Minnesota. Now we didn't know the family. It was an orphanage in Haiti that my parents brought the girls to, and simply because they could not take care of them. My sisters were very sick. They just couldn't provide for them. Like many orphans in Haiti, they are not true orphans. They are orphaned from the system, from financial. That's why they are orphaned. And
Yeah.
so my sisters were given up, but my parents had strong faith. They believed God would provide a good home for them. And they had given up on the day where they would see them again because the chances are very slim to see them back. But they believed God would provide, and that's exactly what God did. And 10 years after the adoption, the family decided to visit Haiti. The father specifically went on a sabbatical. He was a pastor, went to Haiti to meet my family. And when he met me, I shared my story with him. And that's how he was touched by my story and also was very sad about my poverty. He decided he wanted to help. And that's how I ended up in the US.
That's something that I don't think people quite understand that goes on in Haiti, and it's actually in a way, you're trying to like your folks were trying to help your siblings by giving them up, and that is in some ways really selfless. Did you ever think that you'd be doing what you're doing now?
No, absolutely not. I mean, at the age of 18, I was just trying to survive. Just imagine being 18, I was in ninth grade because I started school late. My parents could not send me to school on time. My older siblings had the priority. And so you have a lot of kids in Haiti where parents are alternating when they go to school. You go to school for 1 year, then the next year this goes to school, then you stay at home. At 18, I was just trying to survive. I was just trying to figure out how to build a life. As a young girl in Haiti, I did not dream about starting a nonprofit. I dreamed of, hey, am I going to have food today? I dream about stability. But looking back, every hardship, every heartaches, I was in training. I was in training for the path that I am on currently. But yeah, when I was 18, no, I did not think of that at all.
You started to study nursing, or that's what you studied in college. Why nursing, and what happened to that? What prompted you to go away from that?
since I was a kid, I just always wanted to be a nurse because in my community, nurses, they were everything. It was such a tangible way to help the community. In Haiti, we have one doctor for every 10,000 people.
Wow.
And in the countryside, sometimes there are no doctors whatsoever. But nurses, we had nurses. And so that's pretty much why I wanted to be a nurse. It was about healing one person at a time. It was about preventative impact. And so that's pretty much why I wanted to be a nurse. And but when I was in college, I also I'm like, man, I'd love to be a nurse, but I just also want to do something that would help more than being a nurse. And that's why nursing and THAD they intertwine.
When did you start to think about Teach Haiti? I know you were in Haiti when the earthquake happened in 2010. It was 2010, right?
Mhm,
It seems like yesterday in many ways, but it also
mhm.
seems like forever ago, right? Because it's in some ways out of sight, out of mind for most Americans anyway, right? Was that the turning point that, or were you already doing, mission work there? What was going on when that happened?
So when the earthquake happened in 2010, THAD was already in existence for 3 years. When I was in college, that's when that calling, I really felt that calling to really start this nonprofit. It wasn't one lightning moment.
Mm.
I was still debating whether I want to do what do I do with the gift that was given to me. And I truly believe, as a believer, God loves us. He wants what's best for us. But he also doesn't just bless you just because. He really blesses you also to show his compassion and love to someone who's in need. And so that's when I really wanted to pay it forward because I was given that gift of education, coming from abject poverty to be going to a private school, to be having such a wonderful education. My entire life was changing. The trajectory of my life was changing, and I was thinking, what do I do to pay it forward? The lightning moment actually happened to me when I started thinking about what do I do to help. I remember going back when I was in fifth grade. In Haiti, there's no really public education. Less than 10% of the schools are public.
Sure.
So over 90% of the schools are private in Haiti. Now imagine a family making less than $2 a day. They have to pay for their kids to go to school. Some of them, they have rent to pay. If their kids are sick, they have to make sure they take care of their healthcare need on less than $2 a day. Something we'll have to give.
Mm.
And growing up in Haiti, I remember principals coming into classrooms and asking students to leave the classroom because they were behind on paying the tuitions.
Wow.
So I remember praying fervently that would never be me. I started school late to start with. I always pride myself in being a good student. I was always the top three students in my class.
Mm.
And I kept praying that God, please don't let my name be called. But when I was in fifth grade, poverty shouted back. In fifth grade, my worst nightmare came true. The principal walked into the classroom and called my name to leave because my parents had not paid my dues. And I remember the humiliation I went through picking up my backpack, left that classroom. I went home. I remember sobbing every single day. And it took 2 weeks for me to go back to school, Brendan. And the sad thing is, what kept me home for 2 weeks? It wasn't $10,000 my parents owed. It wasn't 5,000. It wasn't even $100. It was the equivalent of $1, one single dollar. 4 quarters
Yeah.
kept me home for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I could find that in my change in my car right now.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And I remember thinking in college now, I'm like, man, I was sent home. I almost not finishing school for $1. But then I started thinking about the friends who were sent home with me. Some were sent home for less than $1. They never recovered. They never went back to school. That was the end of the road for them. It just broke my heart. And I said, that's what I need to do. An education program, that's what I want to start. And so that's why I teach Haiti. That's pretty much from my own heartbreak. And I started the program to just help because I'm like, it's not okay. It's not okay for kids not only to have to pay to go to school, because there's no public education. And it's just not okay for kids to give up on their dreams of finishing school because of $1. It's just wrong. And so that's when I really feel that call, you've got to do this.
In your book, you say this book is for the child. I hope it's all right that I'm reading a small bit.
Please do, please
Okay.
do.
This book is for the child who dares to hope, who clings to the belief that as long as there's breath in their lungs, there's still a chance, still a possibility that their dreams can come true.
Mm.
The American dream is so different, right? When I think of that, people are like, oh, it's a car, it's a house, it's a job making a lot of money. But context is everything, right? I mean, for you and for trying to help kids' dreams come true in Haiti through Teach Haiti, this part of your calling and what has become a big part of your identity. I mean, you're talking dollars, pennies on the dollars to make these dreams come true. How difficult was it though to get Teach Haiti rolling, and who came along? Like what did that look like? And you had to be a little scared, right, when that was on your mind to like, you want me? Like it's like God calling Moses, right? And he says, "You want me?"
Oh my goodness, it's crazy you mentioned Moses because I always think of Moses when I think about Tichedi, and I'm like, no, God, find someone who's more qualified. Find a public speaker, someone that's what they do for a living. They are well spoken. And I feel like that's exactly the Moses story where he says, God, no, my brother Aaron, he speaks better than me. I'm not qualified. And usually God calls the unqualified. He a calling is rarely comfortable. It's usually uncomfortable, and I think that's what God does. He uses the unqualified to really bring the message he wants to he wants to portray. He wants to pass along. And starting Chichedi was extremely hard for me because I'm like, man, I'm gonna be asking people for money. I don't want to do that. It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Very few people like it. There are some, but very few people enjoy that piece of the nonprofit world. And I did it a little bit when I worked for the Salvation Army. And it's hard, right? You don't want to make people feel weird and
Yeah.
uncomfortable or guilt them into giving you money. It's hard. How did you get
It's
how did you get over that?
I know I'm still not over it.
Hmm.
I've been doing it for almost 20 years and it's still hard. But I also what gives me the courage is the when I see the kids' faces. When I think of kids being sent home for $1, that gives me the courage to ask. When I see the mother who comes and say, thank you. This program has changed my life. This program has given us hope. That's what gives me the courage to keep going because when I see a student having a meal at the school because we feed them every day, knowing that could be their only meal for the entire day, that gives me courage to keep going, to have this uncomfortable conversation with donors. That's what gives me courage. That's what keeps me going, knowing what they are going through and knowing what might come out from speaking with a donor, how that might change their lives. That's what keeps me going with this program.
You start Teach Haiti, you're 3 years in,
Hmm.
and then this incredible earthquake happens that causes, I mean, a ridiculous amount of damage. It's not even the right language for it. There is no language for it, right? Like we all watched in the United States as this was happening and were just overwhelmed night after night about what was going on. If you don't mind, what was that like? And like, how did you feel about like what you had started and what was happening to it?
That Tuesday, January 12th, 2010, it was just like a day like any other day. I actually lived at the school where I worked. They had apartments for teachers. I was working as a school nurse at a Christian school. And my day started the same, woke up early, got my coffee, read my Bible. And then I was a biology teacher as well as a school nurse. So I had a test I was going to give in that day. I was going to give that day. So everything was unfolding really well. Give my tests and did my workout with my group in the afternoon. I'm also a Rotarian. And so at 5:30, my Rotary Club usually meet at this very beautiful hotel, and the day was going well. I remember I gave that test that day. I got the pile of the test in front of me. I went and sat, somewhere in the corner of the school. It's a chapel. So I sat on the steps of the chapel. I was grading the test, and I remember I had a student who was having a hard time with the content for biology for that quarter. He wasn't doing well. Things were very hard for him to understand. But I remember how excited I was because when I was grading his test, he did so well. He had like a B plus. And I was so happy for him. And I remember I'm gonna call his mom, the next day to just say, hey, so and so did so well. And as I was putting the grade, I felt a shake. And I stood and I could not, I was unsteady.
Had you experienced an earthquake before?
Never. I did not even have a name for it. That was not part of our vocabulary. And so I did not know what was going on. So I stood and I'm like, I see the trees are like swaying back and forth, and I could barely stand. And I'm like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And I realized, oh wow, I think that was an earthquake. And I remember rushing through, we had a soccer field. And then I remember going to the soccer field and calling, my husband was also calling people to go in the center of the field. It was just surreal. And I remember going outside to just look the streets, and there was a, wall collapse. And there was a guy, a teacher, who was just leaving school, and the wall collapsed on him.
Mm,
And as a nurse, I'm trying to help. We're trying to
mhm.
remove that concrete slab from him, but I just know it was going to be, even if we remove the concrete, the damage was too much. He was my first casualty.
Mm.
And I remember that day seeing people full of dust walking just like ghosts you're looking at, and seeing buildings collapse. And it was it was a nightmare would be an understatement.
Right.
Walking and see what I saw, but I also remember I cheated death because had the earthquake happened an hour later, I would have been at that hotel for my meetings, my Rotary meetings. The earthquake happened at 4:53. It lasted just 30 seconds. That's all. 30 seconds, 7.0 magnitude earthquake, over 300,000 people died. 30 seconds. And the hotel I was going to be at, we usually meet at the basement of the hotel. It's a beautiful hotel, the only four-star hotel in the country. When you are there, you just feel, oh, it feels so nice to just be, just luxury. It's
Right.
it's what the dignitaries when they go for meetings, the movie stars, that's where they stay, and if it was an hour later, I would have been in that basement, and that beautiful hotel collapsed. And there were so many casualties from that hotel. It was hard. It was hard.
After that happens, how did you feel about going forward? What did that shift about your calling or your work, your identity? Like, what did that do to teach Haiti, to the school? Like, what was the shift, and how did you? I mean, it took so long just to literally dig out from the earthquake.
As hard as this moment was, there was something beautiful about the Haitian people.
Mm.
As they are going through this tragedy, also Psalm 46, people were just talking about. The Lord is my shepherd, the constant help in time of need. And it was so beautiful to see the Haitian people relying on God and just thanking God and say, God, we know you have us. And it was just surreal, that sense of peace
Yeah.
that we had in the midst of the chaos. But for me, it also shows the fragility of life. It became very real. I'm like, oh my goodness, your mortality becomes so real. I'm like, I thought I was invincible. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As you are young, you're like, you'll never die, And so,
I
and
still
I'm
feel like
like,
that at 48 sometimes.
and I'm like, dang it. So what just happened?
Right.
And your faith, it became active.
Well, did it almost increase the urgency because of that, right? Like that's what I
Oh,
would think.
absolutely. You understand your purpose isn't later. Your purpose is now. What you do with your life now matters. And that's what the earthquake taught me, that tomorrow is not promised. And so you have today. Even today is not promised. You have that very instant moment to really know, what do I do with that life that God has given me, that opportunity He's given to me? What do I want to do with it? And so I think that's what that earthquake had taught me. Your purpose is now. Tomorrow is not promised. That's for sure.
What do people in the United States misunderstand most about Haiti?
Wow. I really
You said wow, which means a lot, right? Like they
there is a
probably,
lot.
yeah.
There is a lot. Haiti is not hopeless. Haiti is a country with a global story. When you think about Haiti being the first small black country that ended slavery, I mean, we defeated the Napoleon army. It's an army the entire world was so afraid of. We defeated that, and it has such a rich culture, but unfortunately, we paid for that for that bravery as well. And I just want people to see Haiti not as hopeless. Haiti is not lazy. Haiti is we have a people who are resilient beyond measure. People who make do with what they have. And it's just Haitian people are incredibly, incredibly strong and resilient. And that's what I want the world to see when they see Haiti.
You've had to make a lot of changes, a lot of career decisions, with your family. What has been maybe the most difficult work career decision that you've had to make?
Really saying yes to a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to be saying yes to. Public speaking being one of them.
Hmm.
I was very happy being just in my corner, taking care of my duties quietly, but I guess saying yes to public speaking, saying yes to returning to Haiti. I came to the US, lived in the US for 8 years, and going back to Haiti was extremely difficult. And if you don't mind, I'll share something, an excerpt actually from my book.
That'd be great.
Going back to Haiti was really hard. Adjusting to life in Haiti was extremely, extremely hard. In my book, I says, Haiti hadn't changed. I had. The streets I once walked barefoot, the poverty I once endured, now struck me as an unbearable burden. Seeing children hungry, barefoot, desperate, things I had once accepted as normal now brought a pain I couldn't shake. Parents came to me pleading for food. I often stood silent, heartbroken, and overwhelmed. I realized something I had never seen before. When you live in survival mode, you have no capacity to notice others' pain. Years ago, I hadn't seen the suffering around me, not because I didn't care, but because I simply couldn't. My own hunger, my own struggle consumed every thought. Now, with my basic needs met, I was finally able to see the bigger picture, and it was heartbreaking. when I was in Haiti, I saw this. I mean, I knew the suffering was there.
Hmm.
Just there was no space in me to really internalize it, to really think of others. You think of yourself. You
Yeah.
think of, am I gonna eat today? That's why the work that I do with Teach Haiti is so important to me. But also, it's difficult. The most difficult career decision is expanding when resources are very limited. With Teach Haiti, we add a grade every year.
Mm.
Because especially in our campus in Saint Michel, we are up to seventh grade. So every year, those kids, we need to keep them going.
Right.
And so the kindergarten class is always changing because we have to move them up and we place them within a class. And so expanding when resources are limited, trusting in others' leadership. This is my baby. And so trusting people that they will do the right thing. They will carry this organization the way I envision it to go, and trusting in their own leadership is really hard. Letting go of control is really hard. But this program is way bigger than me. And so I have to trust that people will follow through, will do the right thing. And so right now I am here in the US, but because of the leadership that I had in Haiti with my teams, the program is moving properly, is getting the result I was hoping it would get. And so, but those are not easy, those are very hard to let go.
And part of your role now has moved from more hands-on operational to fundraising. And I mean, so if I mean, this is a kind of a toss-up to you, right? Well, I'll put it on a tee for you, as we say.
Mhm.
If somebody wants to help and they want to donate, they want to learn more about Teach Haiti. My family, we've taken it on at various times as one of the missions that we give to because of we believe in it and we know you and Artie and we love you guys. But if somebody wants to give and learn more, what do they do?
One of the ways people can help Teach Haiti is just learn about what we do. Go to our website, teachhaiti.org, see what we do on social media. Sponsor a student is one of our biggest need.
Mm.
It's amazing what $45 a month can do to sponsor a child. We're breaking from the cycle of poverty. Be a partner with Teach Haiti. Prayers are always encouraged and appreciated. Buy a book, The
It's
Voice
available.
Poverty
It's
Cannot
on
Silence.
Amazon. Yeah, The Voice Poverty Cannot Silence, right? It's on Amazon. It's are you doing a book tour? Did you do anything like that? Are you still out there speaking about it?
Yeah, I'm still out there speaking. I am always looking for invitation to speak at churches, luncheons, or business. Rotary has been an amazing partner with me. I do a lot of speaking at the Rotary World, do some very big stage like the Zone Institute, some of the district conferences. I've been able to go speak and share my story there because it's a book. It's not just about Haiti. It's a book that's really giving show how the gratitude
Yeah.
it put things into perspective.
There are some things, some parallels that I think people would be surprised to read about, and they would be encouraged and probably moved. We got time for one more question. If you could leave one message with listeners, viewers about calling, career, identity, and how that has, what sort of wisdom that you would leave with folks out there that you've learned.
Definitely, I would say we keep in mind tomorrow is not promised. Tomorrow is not promised, and we are given an opportunity to make a difference for our community, for our loved ones. I would encourage people just take these opportunities that's been given to you. Find joy without abundance. Find hope without certainty, and gratitude without excess. Let's find joy. Joy is a decision. It should not be based on circumstances because the way I grew up in Haiti, if I had to rely on circumstance to find joy, it would be extremely difficult to be able to find joy without abundance, with what you have. Choose to find joy and choose to have that gratitude, even when you don't have everything.
That's Miquette McMahon. And if you're interested, you can find her book on Amazon, The Voice Poverty Cannot Silence. And you can go to teachhaiti.org if you're interested in more information or giving. Thanks, Miquette.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Caller ID podcast. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe with all of your friends on all of your social media platforms. Thanks again. Signing off, Brandon Davis Wells.